Hi, I'm Hannah Jones and welcome to this week's MASTS. In this week's episode, I chat to Kate Larkin. She's the Deputy Head of the EMODnet Secretariat, and we speak about EMODnet's Associated Partnership Scheme and provide information about what this scheme is all about. I also talked to UHI researcher Lonneke Goddijn-Murphy about her work using drones and infrared sensors to detect plastic in the oceans. Before we get to my interviews, I would just like to highlight that there is still time to register for the RC UK's annual meeting. So if you're interested in reef conservation, reef ecology, registration is only £3, and this is an event next week that you will not want to miss. The registration link is below, and this event is happening from the 8th to the 10th of December. And first, my conversation with Kate Larkin, the Deputy Head of the EMODnet Secretariat. We speak about the associated partnership scheme that EMODnet is running, and we discuss who can be an associated partner, the benefits of being one, and why now is a really good time to consider applying to be a part of this scheme.
Thank you very much for the invitation to speak to you all. So EMODnet is the European Marine Observation Data Network. It's a long-term marine knowledge initiative of the EU. So it's funded through the European Commission, through the DG Mare, which is the Maritime and Fisheries Directorate General, and it's funded through this European Maritime Fisheries Fund. And together with Copernicus Marine, or the Copernicus Space Programme, I should say, and the Data Collection Framework for Fisheries, EMODnet collectively and jointly delivers the Marine Knowledge 2020 initiative. So this is really delivering marine knowledge and the whole pipeline of that knowledge through to the users that need it. And so EMODnet was set up really to have a focal point to really integrate, but also standardize up to European and international standards, all the marine data that exists. So if you go to the EMODnet central portal, you will find access to many different marine data and data products. They're open and freely accessible. If you browse on the central portal, you can access the data. There are many data services such as map viewers that you can really query and then visualize the data, and then there are various web services as well that you can use to both visualize again, but also really query the data, including machine-to-machine communication. And the nice thing as well is you can really bring in, on many of the portals, you can bring in data from other EMODnet thematics or indeed external data sets into that pool as well to really visualize different data layers.
And one of the things that you've already kind of mentioned is EMODnet is associated with lots of other organisations, and you as an organisation have your own partners, which have been expanding over the years, and you're getting a lot of interest of organisations wanting to be partners, and this has kind of led to EMODnet creating an associated partnership scheme. And can you just explain what does it mean to be an associated partner?
So we have a very large network of experts that we work with to make EMODnet a success. This is over 120 partners across Europe. And these really span marine institutes, data management centres, hydrographic institutes, and some public-private partnerships as well, including consultancies, because we're really keen to work with the best experts to really innovate on the data sets, but also data products to really add value to the data that's out there. But yes, it's a wide growing network, and we found that we were receiving a lot of requests for dialogue and collaborations, particularly from maybe some users in the community or data providers or both, that were eager to have more of a dialogue, but maybe we're not looking for a funded or contractual partnership with EMODnet. And so that's how the EMODnet Associated Partnership Scheme was born, if you like. And so it really brings together the wider stakeholder community that would really like more of a flexible relationship, but that can really be inside the sort of key communications of EMODnet's developments, and also feed in ideas and recommendations for the types of data products and user-driven services that EMODnet can offer in the future.
What are the benefits that come with being in that partnership scheme?
There's a wide range of benefits for the associated partners, and many win-win benefits as well for the associated partners and EMODnet. The first is that they would gain access to a unique forum. So really we communicate regularly with the associated partners with the new data, the new products that are coming out, and give them opportunities to feedback, perhaps even more than the wider stakeholder community, so they can really have a say in the further development of EMODnet products and services. It's often remarked by our associated partners that they really benefit from sharing best practices and ideas, and see how they can innovate as well. But also for things like corporate responsibility, they're then part of a larger network, which is a big range of public and private partnerships, and they can start seeing the benefits of sharing their data as part of these larger integrated data sets. It, of course, can strengthen the visibility of the organisation that's joining, but also we then can strengthen our visibility and communication of EMODnet. And this has been particularly useful at maybe the national level, where EMODnet is quite well known in maybe the marine research community, but perhaps less well in some of the blue economy sectors. So that's quite interesting that we see with them how to best publicise and communicate more the opportunities for different sectors and user tracks. And really we can explore options for further collaborations in many different aspects. So not only just sharing and using data, but even potentially infrastructures or services that companies might offer. So I think there's a wide range. We're very open to that dialogue, and it's a very easy process to apply as well.
Right, that last sentence is also a little bonus there, easy to apply. That's fantastic. For people who are interested, is there anything else that they should keep in mind about potentially becoming or applying for an associated partnership, such as deadlines or just anything else that they might be needing to be aware of?
There's no deadline. The Associated Partnership Scheme is fully open for any interested stakeholders to apply, and it's very simple. You can submit a motivation letter, and we just look for really defining what the associated partner could potentially bring to EMODnet in terms of sharing data or particular priority data sets they already use or would be looking to use more. And then it would go to the steering committee of EMODnet. So there is an approval process, but it's a very, very open and flexible one. But it is actually a good opportunity in the next coming months to consider applying, because we're building up to the EMODnet Open Conference, which will take place in June 2021. So that takes place every few years. We've just celebrated a decade of progress in EMODnet, and now we're looking to define the next 10 years strategy. So I think if people were considering, it would be a very good moment in the coming months to consider applying, because there'll be a lot more dialogue going on leading up to this open conference and defining the strategy. And we're looking at ways of how we can actively bring in the associated partners as a finite network, and then bring them into the wider stakeholder community during the open conference.
If you would like to read up more about the Associated Partnership Scheme, then please check out EMODnet's website. You'll also be able to find the terms of reference there too. And if you want to contact EMODnet directly, they do have a contact form on their website, so please feel free to contact them there. My second interview is with Lonneke. She is a researcher based up at Thurso as part of the North Highland College with the University of Highlands and Islands, and her work has recently been funded by the European Space Agency. This work is using drones and thermal imaging to detect plastic in the oceans. And my first question to her was, why thermal imaging and not just using satellite image data?
Just with optical imaging enough, you don't get enough information to image plastics everywhere. So the European Space Agency, they started a campaign last year to ask for people to put in proposals to try out other approaches. They're still looking at the optical spectral measurements, but also they were interested in novel ideas, like what else could we use to monitor marine plastic pollution. And so I came up with the idea of thermal infrared remote sensing, because it's a different physics. There's different physics in the thermal wavelengths than in the optical wavelengths, and that might complement optical measurements really well. And okay, we don't know yet if it's going to be successful, but that's why it's all novel.
Yeah, excellent. So this is quite uncharted territory, and it's fantastic that you received funding to kind of explore the feasibility of this as well.
Yes.
And I was wondering, so you're based in Thurso, is that where we're going to be, you're going to be running these experiments? Is there anyone else involved looking at this work alongside you?
Well, yes, we are mainly doing our experiments here in Thurso, around the coast. And this, of course, it will be cold in the winter, also even in the summer. So we will only have a small range of conditions, because I find or expect the water-air temperature difference to be very important in the strength of the signal. And so, yes, we can test it here in Thurso during the summer and the winter. I'm using plastic targets that I made myself from PVC pipe and, just litter basically. But there's also a team in Greece. They have very large plastic targets out to measure remote sensing from satellites there. And they are also going to do some thermal camera imaging for us to test it in warmer waters like Mediterranean climate.
So with the studies and the results that you get from it, and if they're successful, how could this technique be used? You've already mentioned that European Space Agency were interested in beginning new study, just new methods of detecting plastic. I'm wondering, is it a way that maybe we can see where the plastic is coming from? So those sources and where it's going, the sinks, I guess, as well.
No one expects really that there will be one methodology that will monitor all plastic under all circumstances. It will probably be a suite of sensors covering different ranges of the spectrum. There will be particle tracking modelers involved to interpret the data. And we expect that all these measurements can be complementary. And for example, a good thing about thermal infrared imaging is that you can do it during the night. So you don't need an active source of light like the sun, as is with optical remote sensing. You always need the sun. That's where we're going to do a survey at night as well as during the day to compare the performance. And we could even maybe use the difference between night and day imaging. It could even, we could even maybe derive a remote sensing algorithm that uses the differences between day and night measurements. But this is all going to be tested.
If you would like to find out more about the European Space Agency's work, then there is a link below this video, and I've also provided Lonneke's contact details if you want to find out more about her work. That's everything from me this week, so stay safe and have a great weekend.